6 o'clock. All right, so we'll call this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and review and approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Are those?
One change on the agenda.
Oh yes, one change on the agenda, that's correct. So in the review and approve the bills for payment, the Conservation Commission payment is number 3, vice number 2. That's it for the change. Minutes from March 6th, 2020.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for March 6th.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
Abstention.
You can abstain, Paul will abstain. Anything, any changes, any inputs? No? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the warrants and bills for payment, we have warrants 1919P, 18R, and Conservation Commission number 3. 18R is for about $44,000. The biggest chunk of that is going to PACIF payment, which is $15,000. The rest of it's sundry type things like electricity, oil, repairs, things like that.
Is 18R the one we passed last time and we had to modify it? There was an investment?
19 is for about $19,000. $12,000 of that is for the ARMA Community Center payment, which came out of our ARPA fund. Did that come straight out of ARPA funds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And 19P is for payroll, $9,500. And CC number 3 for the Conservation Commission is their yearly website subscription for $276, I believe. Any discussions on this?
I move that we approve warrants 19, 19P, 18R, and Conservation Commission number 3.
I'll second it.
Now, is there any discussion? Any questions or anything on those? All right. All in favor of approving the warrant 19, 19P, 18R, and Conservation Commission number 3, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. ARPA funding. Anything fun to update?
Just that the warrants included payments to the community center and payments to the fire department.
All right, we have some visitors. All these wonderful folks. Anything that you were here for that's not on the agenda that we're not going to get to? No. You have to say anything. All right. Road Foreman's report. We have the right of way on the West Village, which we could go ahead and talk about. Who's here for the West Village right of way? Anyone? I thought 2 people were going to be here, but apparently none. Well, so I mean, the update to that is Eliza's still pulling out the history of the property over there to see when it was given from the railroad, how it was split up. Has it been a right of way for an extended period of time? And we've been looking at a lot of the deeds and the maps to try and figure out exactly where the town road runs and where it doesn't run. Of note, the town road does not run the length of what is Route 61 on the north end. So the north end actually belongs to the deeds to those 2 folks up there. And then the town portion of the road runs from a little bit north of the Grange around to the community center and then back to West Street. So we're just trying to figure out what we're going to do. They've asked for it to be thrown up, the property to be given to the landowners, and right now we just don't know what we're going to do with it. We're trying to sort out what the issues are, and I believe one of the residences is going before the DRB next month to talk about parking spaces, and various sundry items that have to do with the old Grange. So for now, we'll keep working that. We'll have the town attorney tell us what our options are, and then we'll just have a meeting and people can come and we'll make a decision at some point on what we're going to do.
Everybody used to walk to the Grange meeting.
Well, of course, you're right. I haven't been here long enough. Like, what was that area used for? But it would make sense because that was the Grange and there's nowhere to park.
Everybody walked to the church, everybody walked to the Grange, everybody walked to the post office. There was no parking because there was no need for parking.
Right.
It used to be access to the community center.
When did the other front road get built?
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
You guys
gosh.
might know better than I.
Oh, boy. That was in the 70s?
Yeah.
60s?
So that was access to
Dennis would know
the
that.
school.
Yes.
Yeah, when
When
they
it was
put
a
it from
school.
the road down, you mean from West
Yeah.
Street down? Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
interesting to know.
Mhm.
That'll come into play a little bit. I think whether something has been used as we'll just call it a right of way, not town owned. I think that will have some stature on whether you can close it off or not close it off.
Right.
Again, we'll just figure that out. It'll stay on the agenda until we get it sorted, but it is being worked. The stormwater municipal road permit is due. I think that's just a payment. I think we talked about it last meeting.
Yeah, that's something that Lee will do.
The PACIF report is still on. We're taking care of, have we taken care of all the items that are on there?
That's a question for Lee.
Yeah, I'll ask him. I'll ask him both of those. And without Lewis here, I think I'll probably ask Lee to start coming to meetings.
Yep.
Because we're always getting updates from Lewis because he worked in the garage and so having it says. All right. Correspondence. Any of those items need to be discussed? Any other questions or inputs on any of those? Off the bat. The letter for the town forest came from Erica Stahl. I'm going to go ahead and write her a letter about the status of it's the younger property that came up at town hall, town meeting.
Is Erica Stahl the daughter of
No.
the Stalls that
Oh.
lived over on Black Mountain Road, off Black Mountain Road?
I don't know.
They are on Black Mountain Road, but I don't know what the
Okay.
relation is.
Yeah, I have not met her, but they are on Black Mountain Road.
Oh, okay.
So I'll draft up, yeah, I'll write a letter to her, let her know we've gotten her letter. I mean, the status is the same as it was at town meeting, right? I mean, all the permits are done. I mean, the current status of the situation is there are two appeals. One to the DRB decision to uphold the permit, and one to A&R on the water permit,
Wetlands.
the wetlands permit. So both of those are out there. There are two motions to dismiss both of those for Mark Younger, his attorney, and we will find out at some point what happens if they are dismissed. The A&R one has nothing to do with us. That's a state agency. The other one for the DRB permit, if it's not dismissed, then the town would have to get involved because we would have to defend the DRB permit.
But at this point, we can avoid engaging Bob Fisher.
Yeah, he sent us asking what to do, and I said, as far as right now, there's nothing we need to do, and just wait and see what the outcomes are.
Good.
So,
I have a question about the DRB permit. Was that publicly displayed?
the zoning administrator issues the permit, and then it's publicly displayed. So back when this started,
Yeah, was it publicly displayed?
it was.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So the 15-day period.
Okay.
There's some question about that, but I have no reason to believe it wasn't. So.
Okay.
And then it was appealed to the DRB who upheld the permit, and that's what we got.
Okay.
And it's been logged. I mean, there's nothing left back there. It's pretty heavily logged, so.
And it was voted on at town meeting whether to appropriate funds.
Well, not to appropriate funds, because it wasn't
Right.
warned.
That was,
So-
that was just to get have it be brought to the select board.
Right. And that was a no. So I'll respond to that from Erica. Anything else? The sheriff's February report we looked through. So Paul has been strong-armed into being the police liaison.
Great.
And we were chatting earlier today, and I was going to contact the sheriff. There's endless numbers of complaints about speeding, stop signs, all these kind of things. And we engage the sheriff for 22 hours a month, I believe. I'm curious to know what the rate of tickets, warnings might be in all the other towns. Because it's all the same on a rate that we're getting as far as X number per hour. Although we can kind of write off that it's just a Dummerston problem, and try to figure out if it's a policing problem. And probably think of ideas that we've presented on how to deal with it. I mean, it seems to be ongoing.
Because you're doing something, sorry, in downtown Putney the past couple of days, there's been people constantly being pulled over by the sheriff for, I assume, speeding.
Right.
That's not the way it's been like a week ago, so something's changed.
Yeah, I mean, Putney, I believe contracts are 40 hours a week. So they have somebody on the roads Monday through Friday all day. And we have 22 a month.
I see.
So.
I would like to sit with the sheriff and get a listing of all the other towns and what tickets have been written, what hours he's put in.
I've had a conversation with him about other things, so I'm going to send an email introducing these two and send Paul off on it. I'm trying to use any other. I have nothing else on correspondence to update. Salmon Brook. So the Salmon Brook erosion is from the last storm. So we've signed all the paperwork we need to go forward, and we're now at the stage where we have to get engineering estimates for the work. So there's a municipal organization in Vermont that assists with these type of things to help walk you through how you're going to process all this stuff. So the first thing we have to do is an engineering assessment of property for reinforcing to keep the house from falling in and septic tank from falling into the Salmon Brook. And this is, I can never remember the name of the property.
I was trying to see when I was driving through, but the main one we're talking about is if you're going towards Route 5, the first one that has like the auto body
No.
thing, not that one.
So if you're on Route 5, right before you get to Schoolhouse Road, on the left.
If you're on Route 5?
If you're on Route 5, going,
Okay, so you're going
north,
Okay.
right before you get to Schoolhouse Road, there's a small road off the left-hand side that has one house on it. Perry's, the Perry house.
Is that the one that's already had the work, some of the work done?
No, they paid for that themselves.
Okay.
So,
Then I'm confused. I gotta go in person then. Because I was looking at the other one. I thought that was it.
yeah, so the one at what I call the intersection of East-West Road and Schoolhouse Road,
Yeah.
where you see that, they've done that themselves.
Okay.
They didn't want to wait. So this is the Perry property, which is a
In
house
relation to that, where is it?
towards Route 5.
Okay.
So if you're coming down Schoolhouse
towards
Road,
up Schoolhouse Road.
if you're going Schoolhouse Road to 5,
Okay.
when you hit 5, you would take a right and take almost an immediate right once you cross the brook, and the house is right there.
Okay.
It's one house on one road.
Okay.
Jim Boyd Road, I believe is the name of it.
Okay.
So we have to work the engineering process. So I'll work with the organization that does that and with the new treasurer to work through that. So I think we have to do a request for proposal for engineering work, and then that'll be followed up with a request for proposal to do the work. And there's a set amount of money, and we'll see what comes up as.
So last time you'd said that some of the costs were gonna be covered 100%
All
rather than a 75-25 split.
It's all 100%. Yep.
So the other properties that didn't wanna jump on board before, can they now?
I asked Michelle about that, and he said it's beyond the 60-day period. I don't think he understood my following question. So we had 2 properties that were looked at. What the program does is it provides 75% of the funding, and the property owner has to provide the other 25%. So when they did the Dummerston grant, it's a grant that includes all of them in one big number. And I don't think he understood that I wasn't trying to add anything to the number. I was just adding is, can we use the stuff that we hadn't, the property owners had not agreed to do it. So I'll go back with him and find out, because the money's already sitting there. It's on the signed contract that we signed. So if we could do it, I don't know why we wouldn't. Because it helps them out, it helps us out, because that side of the road's not great anyway.
Right, because if the property owners don't have to come up with 25%,
Right, I think
That's-
they probably,
Very nice.
I think
Yeah.
they probably say yes, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
What are the downsides? Like, what sort of stipulations are there to this funding?
You can't go over the amount, but if you do go over the amount, there may be additional money. The only original obstacle is until the work starts, we can back out. So,
Okay.
and the thing about this is it has to be sponsored by a town, not an individual. So, that's a good question. So the town,
Well, I didn't know if they were gonna say like, now that we've done this, you're liable for something else.
no, you can't have any, I don't think so. You can't have any additional funding for I think a 10-year period for that area once it's been used.
Okay.
I don't think you're on the hook for anything else, but I'll check.
Okay. And any one more thing. Any stipulations on who does the work?
No, it's up to the town. So it's just like any other work we do, we'll put out a request for proposal, we'll get all the proposals in, and we will choose which one
Okay.
to do the work. I think it'll be a lot of folks that we see fairly often.
It sounds very good. Yeah, it sounds perfect.
Right. ARPA updates for new business. We kind of already addressed that. All right, appointments.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we would make the following appointments. DRB, Alan McBain. Conservation Commission, John Anderson, Christine Gepp. Rick Mills, Lynn Levine. Energy Committee, Calvin Farwell. Road Foreman, Lee Chamberlain. Weigher of Coal, Ruth Barton. Town Keeper, Ron Speck. Fence Viewer, Harold Newell and Ruth Barton. Wyndham Regional Commission, Todd Davidson, Matthew Hoffman. Interim Delinquent Tax Collector, Charlotte Near Annis. The Solid Waste Representative, Michelle Charrier. Cemetery Committee, Lee Chamberlain. Senior Solutions, Carol Lynch. Rescue Inc., Harold Newell, and the alternate is Lou Tyke. Connecticut River Joint Commission, Philip Gepp. Vermont Community Development Program, Jack Mannix. E911 Contact Listers. Farmland Committee is Noah Haskins, Diana Lesher, Jack Mannix, Reed Miller, Elizabeth Wood, June Levinson. The Police Advisory Board Liaison, Paul Adler. And the Deerfield Valley Communication District, Eric Lineback. And the alternate is David Evans.
Well, I'll second the motion. I will not read all those back to you.
Thank you.
Any discussion on any of those? Anyone has?
Are there any that we don't know about yet? Or
The only one is the Social Services Committee.
I think we got everybody else. All right. So if there's no discussion, all in favor of appointing the cast of thousands, which will be submitted for the record, say aye.
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 So one thing I do have on that is that we do not have a health officer. And that usually falls to the chair of the select board when we don't have a health officer.
So what we're gonna get is a health officer. Anyone here?
No.
What are the I'm new to this. What are the responsibilities of a health officer?
Well, as chair of the select board, I have no idea. But you and I can find out together.
Okay.
You have to take a course in order to be appointed through the state, the Vermont Department of Health.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the course is. Maybe you remember
I don't
Maria.
remember. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you can get,
The previous was
David.
David.
Yes.
So maybe we'll have him talk to David.
Yes.
Baxendale, who lives
Yeah.
right across the street.
Yeah.
Maybe put you in
Just
touch with
curious.
him.
I didn't know what the responsibilities were.
Yeah.
What they had to do. So.
I'll tell you what. David Baxendale.
Sounds good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put you guys in touch and you guys can chat. I probably should do that too in case you back out. Or Paul.
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying I was going to do it.
You're
But
just curious.
I'm just curious. Well, I want to know. But
You know what happens if you're curious in this town?
yes, never
I
mind.
think only one can be appointed at one time,
I
though,
think
right?
so,
Because
yes.
we had a problem when David took over from Zeke. It had to
Yeah.
his had to expire before David's could start.
Yeah.
So you can only have one appointed at a time.
Yeah.
be curious to see if you need a medical background.
We've
I
got
don't-
someone with a medical background.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
National Institutes of Health is sitting right here.
There you go. Perfect.
Is it mostly
I'd like to find out
about,
more information on it.
I'll
is
put
it
you-
mostly about failed septic systems? You know, that cause health concerns? Do we know?
Or houses that could possibly have other
Because
issues
that might-
besides septic.
Right, yes, that you might have to condemn.
You condemn
That's maybe I
that
wanna do
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. I'll do a big email with David Baxdale and you two and myself. And maybe we can set up a time for individually us to go talk to him or whatever.
Okay.
I'll have him talk to you two first. See what you think. There's no cardiovascular work involved in this. Right?
And I do have some forms that you'll have to sign for some of these appointments that we just made.
Okay. The Spring Views article is due the 26th. We have a tendency to try to write an article from the select board point of view. Does anybody have anything interesting since I had to write?
Well, should it be one that introduces our new select board members?
Sure. Good job. Or you want them to introduce themselves?
No, but I'd be glad to do it if you want to both provide me sort of a bio, a little more detail, you know, and some personal
Good stuff.
I think both of your introductions at the pre-town hall meeting were very good to get to know what you guys. I know you wrote about some of that probably in the last views, but
Yeah, I think I covered everything I could think of at the moment, so.
and if there's anything else that you think of, just let me know and you can write. You know, it's kind of anything. I mean, I wrote about the plowing last time so,
Okay.
and the taxes. Things I get in trouble for. So you have what is it, 20th?
Mhm.
So 6 days. Although how hard and fast that is, considering last time, now that what I've learned, so. The local hazard mitigation plan from the Wyndham Regional. I've looked at it, I don't have any comments on it.
I do.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Have you sent it to him?
No,
Oh,
no. I mean, some of them are just typos, but I think the big thing for me is the on page 44, 48, and 53. It has to do with the fire department thinking that they need access to Interstate 91.
right. So,
Yeah, I've talked to Jack Mannix about that,
Okay.
and he and I were gonna go look at it, at the area to get a better feel for it, and Todd was gonna try to join us.
and we're gonna bring the fire chief.
We have access to 91 in Dummerston already. It's exit 4, southbound.
Yeah, I would like to know more from, yes, that is a good point. So let's, Mannix, Alex, fire chief, me. I will ask him if we have a little more time. So your position is you don't want one at all. I mean,
don't
there's
think-
farmland there, and
Yeah.
obviously there's work that would have to be done to put it in.
Jack's very concerned about
Mhm.
losing farmland.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, I looked at the agenda before I came, and it said something about, time for public comment.
Oh, yes.
But,
Your
So-
time for public comment is right now.
so, I don't know if it got printed out and sent you guys, or given to you guys, but I sent a letter to Alyssa Sabetto, the town of Dummerston, and I think it said Lori Frechette.
And it came to all of us.
Yeah, earlier today regarding the local hazard mitigation plan. And I think it expresses the thoughts that my husband and I have regarding this. We are not in favor of the ATV and the creation of an emergency entrance onto the southbound lanes of I-91 from Dummerston Station Road. I think I've explained our point. If nothing else, it's not a natural hazard. And that whole plan is about mitigation of natural hazards. Maybe that's a valid thing to do under some other plan, but suggesting that the town, putting in the plan that the town is one of the potential funders without having gone through due process of warnings and hearings and, public feedback and stuff like that, that's awkward to say the least. And the fact that the plan states that there's no entrance to 91 is inaccurate. And if, as was explained to me by someone else that I spoke to, things need to go into the plan in order to then be able to be included in a grant application. If that's inaccurate, is that going to cause outright denial of the grant, or if nothing else, more intensive scrutiny of whatever's being proposed because you already made one inaccurate statement? So I think that's all in my letter, but if you have any questions, I can maybe expand on them.
Well, I have a question. Is there only one spot being considered for this?
That's all that was
This is the first I've heard of it.
It's all that was stated in the plan. It was stated very specifically yes, that I've gone past there or driven, I live, I don't know, whether it's a mile south maybe. And there's valuable farmland there. This could affect people's property tax rates, either going up or down. You know, like, I live in a 9-home development. Technically, according to what some people in Dummerston have told me, our property taxes are lower because it's not on a town-maintained road. I'm not sure I could prove that they're lower, but anyways, if the road becomes, you know, there may be, you know, seizure of land due to eminent domain. It's an awkward situation, all, like, a lot of the way around. My husband and I have done a lot of thinking about this, and I hope to pay attention to follow through on seeing how this plays out. If there's a list of, you know, I've been to other meetings where you have to, like, sign your name if you want to be a party that's going to be notified about something, but I don't think that's what's going on here. But I want my name on that list.
Your name will be on the list. So I know Alyssa at Wyndham Regional, since I'm on Wyndham Regional. What I'll do is talk to her. I'm not sure where that came from in there. Because
Larry Pratt talked to me about it a little bit at the end of town meeting and made it sound like it was a very preliminary discussion that they were just starting to talk about. There wasn't anything imminent.
well,
But it's not a mitigation of a natural hazard. It's not consistent with this plan. Give me another plan that's about, I don't know, accessibility to, you know, for, I don't know what, but it's not a natural hazard thing.
I started this plan with Alyssa when I was on the board. It was the beginnings of the whole thing. And what this is it's a setup that goes up to the state, and then it's set up for the disasters going down to the feds. We have to do it, I don't know how many, 5, 10 years, I can't remember. It's been a long time. But I'm concerned. I wrote Alyssa basically expressing all the points that you did about this. The issue I have with it, you put it in writing, it gets passed, and it's gonna be up to you guys as a board to yay or nay this plan. But it goes up to the state, and then you're looking at a funding, you know, adding funding there. I mean, I'm a little concerned. The other thing I have besides that, and I just figured this one out as I was reading, because it's been a long time since I read the plan, and it wasn't on the original plan, is on page 44, where it says under the financials for the fire department that, quote, the department will not be able to maintain their ISO rating without greater funding support from the town budget. Now, I don't know if you guys know what an ISO rating is, but that's your insurance rating that gets set by the fire department. And we're at a 9 right now, and it goes from 1 to 10, 10 being bad. 1, very few departments ever get. And if you look at our ISO map, the general departments are between, I'd say, an 8 and a 9 based on the coloration. But my problem that I have with them is, you know, they want to stick something like the on-ramp looking at funding, but now they're saying they're not getting enough funding. But I'd really like some clarification. The board gets some clarification. I'll give you my paperwork. But an ISO class 9, if you look through what we need, we're pretty good. But if they're thinking we're going to slip to a 10, a 10 is properties are assigned a protection range from 1 to 10, with 1 representing the best fire protection and lowest risk, and 10 indicating the highest risk and minimal or no fire protection. So if they're looking to go from a 9 and saying this in a report that's going to the state and possibly the feds that they're going to be minimal or no fire risk, I think they might want to re-look at this. And have the board look at this before you, but I will leave you all my little notes for the ISO, because it's be good to look into.
Well, if you put something into I mean, it's my understanding that this report is what Dummerston wants to do to enhance hazardous mitigation. So if they're keeping track of this and we put that in there, they're gonna come back and say, well, what have you done about this? You know, I think we need to be pretty serious about whether we're gonna do it or not before we send it to the state and the federal government. I think, I feel pretty uncomfortable about, well, we're just thinking about this, let's put it out there.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more thought. Because we've been working on this for 3 years now. I think it's been 3 years since I started it.
I will follow up with Wyndham Regional and Larry Pratt, the fire chief. Because he pigeonholed me in the parking lot and vaguely explained it to me. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens. So Larry's pretty open. So we'll discuss all three. It's in there, yes, at page 44, 48, 53. And have a
The
follow-up.
other question I had on here was on page 48, where the fire department wants to purchase an off-road ATV to increase the ease of access to the rail bed. And the long-term goal for them is to have better access route created for larger vehicles along the rail bed. And I'm just wondering, they put in here that that is for the protection of fluvial erosion and flooding. I'm a little confused as to what is the ATV having access to the rail bed? How is that going to mitigate erosion and flooding?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could increase it.
Yeah.
What section of rail bed is that referring to, do you think?
The whole rail bed that comes right up through from
Yeah.
one.
Amtrak.
Yeah,
Oh,
Is this in
the real
response to
rail
the
bed.
Yes.
the washout we had of the Amtrak last year? Wasn't that was in Dummerston, right?
No.
That wasn't in Brattleboro, was it?
I was thinking it was in
The one that was
Yes.
dangling that got washed out and it was the
It
road.
was in Putney.
South of Putney. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It just doesn't make a whole lot of, I don't know, I mean.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know how an ATV is gonna, for access to the rail bed is when they've listed the hazard as erosion and flooding, you know.
I think they could rewrite that and not put the rail bed in there, but to use it for washouts or for safety measures on areas that might wash out or whatever, to save somebody in case of I think the wording, if they really want the ATV, I think they could tweak that wording to make it a little bit better and not consider the rail bed.
If they need access for emergency services to the rail bed, I think what they're thinking is they would use an ATV instead of trucks. And maybe that's.
Can they get a truck in there?
Well, I don't think so.
I doubt
I
it.
don't
I
think so.
doubt it.
I don't think there's gonna be erosion for
Yeah.
trucks. I don't think you get a truck in there.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to Larry about it.
Yeah.
And as things develop over the next, I'll ask Alyssa what the real hard date is. Hopefully she doesn't say the 20th.
I mean, I heard that and I immediately thought rail trail.
That's what I thought. But
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think it needs to be clarified what rail bed they're talking about.
No, it's just a close proximity to the Connecticut River, I think. So
Okay.
it's that one, but it's,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think the wording is really good on that to support an ATV thing.
But once
Oh, boy.
again, how does that mitigate or prevent the natural hazard?
Exactly.
Right,
So
and that,
it's not,
no, it doesn't.
it's another plan.
It's another plan, yes.
That's true. It does
We'll
not
keep you
have
updated.
to prevent-
Oh, good.
On everything. All of you want to be on the list?
Sure.
Sure.
I'm gonna send you spam too. Things I think about.
I live near the gravel pit. You'll see me again.
So the other question I had on the same thing, the ATV and the emergency ramp, is that they categorize these as what the benefit is, like on a 1 to 5 scale. And they're talking about this ATV as a 5 and the on-ramp as a 4, and yet they have other things in town that are actual road structures, culverts, bridges,
They need your,
that are only rated a 3. So I'm not really sure why these two items would take precedent over our own road structures.
let me ask that. I'm curious to know if the ratings were given by people that submitted, so if Larry gave his own rating
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't prioritized with other town ratings.
Right.
All right. Unfinished business. Farmland Protection Fund. Oh, do you have anything else? I don't want to cut you off. Talk as long as you want on camera. It's up to you. We talked to the treasurer about this? About investing pots of money somewhere aside from a bank account?
That was the intent to do that.
Have we talked to Chris yet? Or- Okay. I'll ask him when I stop in. I'm usually up here a couple times. What we're thinking of doing is figuring out a way to invest. Farmland Protection's in front of this, so they've got $50,000 in their fund. From my understanding, they've spent $31,000 in 20 years. So the idea that they might need all of that money immediately is slim and none. So instead of having it sitting in a bank account, can we put it somewhere that's safe and protected, but it's getting a better return, which then offsets the amount of money we may fund them next year. But we'll fight that battle on funding next year. But there's no point having the money sitting there not earning some more interest.
And I think, with Chris, the treasurer, we can have a broader discussion about other funds that we sit on.
Yep.
And that came up at town meeting. I think Joe Cook raised it with a question with Mike Pichak. And it sounded like the state has a fund. I wonder if we can piggyback into that, low risk, 5.5% return fund.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. So we'll follow up on that with Chris next time up here and have him, as he gets his feet wet, it'll just be something else to have on his plate. To
I mean, he might want to join us at a regular meeting.
Yeah.
So we get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, let's ask him to the next meeting. I'll invite him to the next meeting.
The town already has a fund that is already invested. Joe Cook invested it for us with the help of the previous treasurer. The Miller Fund is, I think it's in the Vanguard
Okay.
Fund.
And Vanguard is what you were talking about when you presented it, right? All right. I'm very interested in writing what I'm writing. I'm going to stop. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about that's not on the agenda?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All right. Consider it done at 6:40.